Arrow Season 6, Episode 3, Next of Kin. Now this episode, of course, is John Diggle taking over for Oliver as the Green Arrow. Didn't do horrible. There were some mistakes definitely made. Sadly, Diggle's on dope. I don't know what they're going to be doing with this storyline, but at the end of the episode we see he takes this crazy serum that it seems to be some sort of crazy super serum because the fact that he has degenerative cells is a big deal. Like I mentioned in the last episode, like I'm no doctor, so I don't know if there's a cure for that or anything, but there apparently is a temporary one at least, and who knows how that plays out. It's like once it goes away, I'm sure it comes back. It's probably making it worse. When it does come back, it's faster or something crazy like that. But he's taking a drug by the end, injecting it straight into his arm, and that's, curing him of this whole, gun-toting deal. So it should be interesting how that's going to play out in the future, but this was a good episode. I really enjoyed what we got to see with Diggle struggling as the new leader of the team, and Oliver, he's kind of just doing his thing as a dad, and he has to figure out, alright, I'm not a part of the team, but how do I help the team? Pretty cool move, honestly, by the end of the episode, basically making it just something that's put to vote by the citizens of the actual city. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, that was actually a genius idea. Basically, the townspeople will determine if vigilantes are good or not. So I thought that was actually a cool way to kind of finish that off for him. And of course, this comes after him deciding that he wants to be with Felicity. I just want to say this myself. I don't care, but I'm sure that bothers a lot of people. I know some people hate Felicity. They hate like the whole relationship thing. It's been kind of weird, past couple seasons. So I don't know. Maybe the writers themselves are taking it slow. We'll see what happens. But by the end of the episode, Oliver realized that Felicity's great with his son. He still loves Felicity, I guess, so he wants her to have a key to his apartment, which, like I said, we'll see how that plays out ultimately. I'm kind of just right in the middle. As long as it doesn't take over like it has in previous seasons. Like the season when she was in the wheelchair, it was a big deal. Like normally it didn't matter, but I think even in that season, which I think was the one before last, even to me that was starting to kind of get to me. I was like, all right, now it's starting to I don't care about this. So taking it slow. We'll see how it all ends up panning out. But it was a cool moment for him. He's dealing with an issue, trying to be a father, and he doesn't know how to really do math, so he's trying to help his son, and he sucks at it. His son's just trying to get into being in this new school and trying to kind of shoot through it, figure everything out super fast. And it was funny in this episode when he was talking with his son, like during breakfast or whatever that was, because he was studying. But I guess I guess it was the weekend. But for some reason, I was like, it's funny how much older his son seems when it's not like super dramatic and his son's like depressed about not loving his father. And it was like, it's weird. It's like his son instantly aged to me. I was like, he seems much older because it was just a normal situation instead of like, oh, he's that sad young kid. I was like, oh no, he's just a kid. He's not that young. And it was funny how big of a difference it made that he wasn't like just depressed dealing with this dude who is his father, who he blamed for his mother's death. So I was like, it's really weird how just how the emotions can affect how you see the age of a certain character. So I thought that was kind of funny. But everything is working out well for them, and like I said, it adds Felicity into the mix, here and there, so we'll see how it plays out. Main story with Diggle going through his issues as far as leader of the team. Starts off fairly simple. He's still lying to everyone. He ends the episode by still lying to everyone, which I was like, I know something is off here, because there's no way you just have a degenerative disease, like, you got issues up in your shoulder, and it's just like, check it out. Nothing. Like that doesn't you can't just work through that the way that, considering it's been 6 months, if that wasn't going to happen, it wouldn't start 6 months later unless it was something that, had been slowly building up and he was been fighting against it. But it was clear, and like I said in my last review, it's clear that that's how it played out, that he hadn't had like the twitch for a long time, but you know that he knew that it was kind of heading in that direction because he had issues ahead of time. Like the doctor, he knows, and she was like, keep taking those pain meds. So he'd been to the doctor long before the twitch thing happened, so he knew what was going on, which is how he knew he had degenerative cells. It wasn't like, oh, my arm's twitching, I don't know what this is. Like, he knew what that was, because he definitely had been doing that for a long time. And it's like, that doesn't just poof go away without some sort of surgery or something happening. And of course, it ends up being this weird orange, it seemed like a gel-like serum. So, who knows what that means. Should be interesting. It's like, oh, like it was really sad. I was like, oh man, I went like full PSA style, like, oh, there's no hope in dope, and It was just like, man, that sucks, because I knew there was something going on, and of course it's him taking this, random miracle drug, which he's paying a ton of money for. He gave that guy a huge wad of money, and I'm sure it's a temporary thing. It works for however long it needs to work, and we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out once he's inevitably busted, or he'll either just be flat out busted, or something will just go terribly wrong, which is just because it's television, something has to go terribly wrong, and then it's like, how did that fail? Like, you've been doing great, and it's like, this has been happening. It's like, whoa. So obviously it'll be like this grand reveal for people, down the line. But it was definitely good. He goes through, and then he has that moment when they're dealing with. Okay, first off, unless I missed it, none of these people were superhuman, and that was the weirdest thing in the world to me, because in the beginning of the episode, when that woman came in, she just showed up in this room inside this facility, and that was it. And like, because the dude turned around, none of the three guys knew she was there, and then she drops like these flash bombs, which are just flash bombs, and it made no sense how any of the people died unless the other people were there, unless she like killed them all. Because I was like, oh, she has like these crazy, insane, concussive bombs or something that are like crushing people's bones and killing them. And that was not the case. They're just flash bombs at the end of the episode, which also they were unaffected by, which I thought was weird, because like I said, there's a part where I was legitimately like doing something else on my laptop. I was actually uploading another video, so I may have missed like all of this dialogue, but it was during the part where they're like, oh, this is who they are, and these are like their old army buddies who were deceased, and all of these people who used to be in the army as a unit, they stole like millions and millions of dollars, and then when the thing started to kind of scatter off, it was like, oh crap, she's coming after the people that kind of took off and didn't continue to follow her. And it was like, okay, nowhere in there did I hear like meta-human or anything like that, but she legitimately was doing some teleporting. Like, she was teleporting, and I don't know how she killed like half a dozen guys, because she was surrounded in the beginning and she threw those bombs down, and then the end of the episode comes along, and it's like, no, these are legitimately just flash grenades. And not even the end. When they did the scene with the truck, which was hilarious, because Diggle was like, you have terrible taste in music to the one guy. Even when that scene happened, I was like, oh man, they're gonna find some way to survive this, but they're gonna realize these are like insane, like super grenades, and they have, the army people have something to block it. And I was like, no, they're just flash grenades. And like 3 other people came in and beat them up a little bit, and then they took the nerve gas, and I was like, well, that could not have possibly happened inside, Cord Enterprises at the beginning of the episode, which is also a cool reference. They reference like Cord Industries and Enterprises. I think it was when Ray Palmer was like first on the show, so I think they referenced it back then. But Ted Cord is the Blue Beetle, or Jaime Reyes. It depends, who is dead, honestly. But yeah, that's where Blue Beetle comes from. It would be sweet if they had. I'm not super familiar with Ted Cord, but because of the animated show Young Justice, I really like Jaime Reyes, so it would be sweet if he ended up showing up somewhere. But I was like, okay, with what they kind of showed, it totally shifted by the end of the episode. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, she threw the grenades down. There's no way that those other army people came in. I think that was supposed to be the misdirect, but then it's just like, that doesn't make any sense, because that would have been a group of people. I mean, I guess technically it was only like, when they have like their little conversation, they show 3 people, but I still feel like there were more than just 3 people. It was just like 3 actors actually talking, but there were still more people. But yeah, even if it was just those 3, or even if it was 5 people, it's like they did not all break in and then hide. And she was there, and it's like, don't come out of the shadows until I throw these like strobe grenades. And then they beat everybody up and like broke everybody's like spines and all that crap. But they said something. It was something like concussive with their backs and everything. And I was like, this makes no sense. I was super confused. I'm like, I know she's not teleporting, because she would have been teleporting during the fight that she had with Diggle. And it was just like, I'm super confused now, because they did so much stuff where it's like, this seems very, superhuman to me. And then it ended up just being nothing. Like, even the grenades themselves were just strobing lights. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And especially considering the fact that they had like no eye protection. It affects everyone else, but they just have like eye training. Like, that's not really a thing with like flashing lights like that. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not in the army. I don't know secret military strobe light training stuff, I guess. But that really confused me. That was like the one thing that bugged me the whole episode. I was like, it started off where I thought she was a metahuman, and it was like, okay, she's a metahuman who can teleport, and she has like these crazy tech grenades. And it was like, no, she's not a metahuman somehow. With her like showing up behind people, like when she ended up right behind Diggle, she was just there out of nowhere, and then she shot him, and I was like, okay, she legitimately, especially the second time it happened, I was like, she must be able to teleport. And it was like, nope, she just pops up and they make it seem that way. And then the grenade stuff were literally just, flashlights. They're just little metal flashy balls. And I was super confused. I was like, that was a huge misdirect in the beginning. And honestly, like I said, I'm just super confused. Like, even with 3 people, how would they have taken out all those guys in that room? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And even if it was 5 people, the grenades were flashing for a couple of seconds and everybody was down. Like, even if you do, like, they skip through time a little bit because it's TV, actions are faster or slower. Like, we got a minute left and then it's like 3 minutes worth of dialogue. So it was still just super weird. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, and like I said, there was that one part where I was legitimately on my computer and I was kind of just listening in the background as they were like, here's the backstory of all the villains and this is why they're doing what they're doing, killing these, getting this information, killing these people. But I feel like there was nothing in there that had to do with metahumans and anything like that. So pretty sure that was just weird. And like I said, even if it's totally human and they explain that, it's hard to explain that opening sequence where it was her by herself, even if the other people came in out of nowhere. It's just like, that's super weird. How'd she get in there without any sort of support or anything like that? And I guess they were just good, but it was still weird to me. And I was just like, something about this just doesn't kind of click. And then that was like the whole thing for the episode. So sorry I went on that big rant, but that really bugged me the whole way through. I was like, it's cool to watch. That was the thing. It was like, if it all made sense, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, if it was just like the concussive grenades and she was just stealthy, it would have made total sense. But then it's like, well, why do like the weird thing where she keeps popping up behind people if she can't actually, like teleport and stuff? And it just seemed weird that they kind of did it that way, as if she was just popping up and no one could, like, Diggle like found out last minute, like, oh crap, someone's behind me. And I was like, I feel like they're doing that because she's teleporting, and then that was not the case because she just fights and drives a car and then just runs during the end fight, which is actually really cool. It was the weirdest thing where I was like, how is it that the camera can be inside of a limo and we just see like a couple of the movements? And I was like, this is actually a really cool fight. Like, you could see them kicking and slamming each other into the glass, and I was like, somehow the angle on this is so insanely simple, but it's still a cool looking fight. I thought that was the weirdest thing. I was like, that's how you know you have a good fight, where you have like a crappy angle to the actual action is like through this window, but it looks so cool. Like, what we could see was at least wide, it was like letterbox, seeing through the windows of the limo. But it was like, man, you're missing so much of the action, but it still felt amazing watching that fight where they're, just going back and forth. And I was like, that was actually a really cool fight. So I was like, that's surprising how much I really enjoyed it. So wanted to mention that as well. But like I said, had to go on that big rant because I was like, I feel like that was a really odd misdirect that didn't need to happen. Like, her popping up in the first place, okay, she could just snuck in there by herself. Her popping up behind Diggle made it seem like, they were starting to establish a pattern. And then, like I said, going back to the beginning, it just didn't make any sense how if it was her by herself, it doesn't make sense. If it was 3 people, it wouldn't make sense. And then once you go past 3 people, it's like, well, you get to the point of all of them snuck in, but only she was there in the beginning, and then they like don't reveal the other people, which didn't really change anything outside of the fact that I thought she was metahuman, but the superhero, like the characters in the episode didn't, so it doesn't really make a difference. Like, if they thought she was metahuman as well, that would have been something, but it was like that never came up. During that second fight, they knew that they got beat up by multiple people, so it was like, well, I mean, that kind of revealed something to us, but then it just makes me question the opening where, like, it was weird. It didn't make any sense to me. So that's just my thing. I felt like I really had to rant about that because I was so confused the whole episode. Like, I just keep going back to that first scene. Like, her by herself, even up to 3 people, doesn't make sense, where all these guys got taken out in all these different parts of the room. It just didn't make sense unless they were metahuman. And it was just like, that wasn't the case by the end of the episode, so I was super confused. It makes no sense. The opening just doesn't. Looked cool though, because when I thought she was a metahuman, I was like, this is sweet. She teleported in, she drops these insane concussive grenades, which, I mean, considering what they showed, it made it seem like they should totally go with that in a future episode, because I thought that was really cool as a dangerous weapon. Like, these just 2 little grenades and they flash so people don't know what's happening, and then they're just hit with like crazy seismic waves or something. I thought like that's a cool weapon to have for an enemy, or in general, that's a sweet weapon. And then they're just flashlights, and I don't know if she moved at super speed, but she didn't because she's not actually metahuman. It was super weird. But I did enjoy the episode. Aside from like that weird moment, which I don't know, I might actually go back just to see if they reference anything like her being metahuman or something weird like that. But yeah, aside from that, I really did enjoy this episode, and I am very excited to see what they do with Diggle and just his weird fall from grace. Maybe by the time he starts to kind of dip and the team finds out, maybe we'll actually get to see Thea kind of come back into the fold. Because she is referenced. She hasn't really had the chance to spend any time with her nephew, so maybe we'll see that towards the end of the season. But like I said, good episode outside of the weird, consistency of the character having like these insane skills. Like that's like some League of Assassins type stuff where she took them out. And once again, I may have missed like that 1 second of dialogue where they went to Nanda Parbat and it was like, oh, there it is. I don't know, but I felt like I didn't, so I wanted to mention that. Just, caveat for myself, I guess, because I wasn't paying 100% attention during the villain explanation part. But super weird to me. But ultimately, I really did enjoy this episode as much as I was picking on what I thought they were kind of giving us in the beginning and how it completely shifted by the end. But yeah, I still really enjoyed the episode. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about the episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. If you guys had the same thought, I would love to know that, as far as the characters seeming metahuman and teleporting, and like the grenades seeming to be super special because of how all those people died. If you had the same thought, I would love to know that. But as far as the actual episode and the story, I would love to know what in the world is going to happen with Diggle. How is this going to fall apart? Because that's all it is. Like, whenever someone hides something in the show, it's never like, you know what? I'm going to be honest about this. Like, it's so rare that that sort of happens. Maybe they'll kind of usurp the trope a little bit and be like, you know what? This is why I don't have that tremor. I had this tremor. I taking these crazy mega drugs that go into my arm and it stops the tremor. And I would assume it makes them a little bit stronger. I forgot. I'm so glad I went back to this. The beginning of the episode, when they were going after the dude who held Black Siren before, Diggle took a nosedive off a building and had Black Canary scream him into a car. Like, he dived off, and it was like, I'm going to dive off, get hit midair by this, and I'm going to cushion myself on this insanely tight, insanely, strong vehicle. It's a car. So he hit glass and metal and everything. It's just like, boom, Diggle. And he just goes after the guy, and he beats up people, and I was like, how did he do that? Like, maybe he's metahuman. I don't know. I was like, something's going on there. Maybe that was actually the point of that, because that just didn't make sense. Like, they seemed to they didn't bring it up or anything, but I was like, he just nosedived off a building, got hit with the canary cry, which shouldn't, well, I guess, at top strength, it can definitely send you flying, but, she would have to hit him, like, super hard, because he was, like, actually nosediving. Like, she would have to hit him with so much force to stop his speed. Like, I'm going super nerd math with it, but the speed at which he was dropping was insanely fast for her to basically have a seismic wave to catch him and send him, because he would just go boom, and he should have shot straight through it. No matter how powerful it was, it should have just basically sent him spinning, and he should have just hit the building and fell into some glass, which is what I thought happened. I thought she blew a window open as she was hitting him, and he would just fly through. But then I was like, oh no, he hit a car. But yeah, all of that seemed weird too. I was like, that's insanely strong. Maybe that comes from the serum. It stops the tremor, makes him like more durable and stuff. Because I'm like, no one should be able to handle that unless they have like super strength. But also the science doesn't make sense. He should have just shot straight through any sort of seismic waves hitting him like her with the canary cry. But to stop nitpicking, like I said, I do want to know what you guys thought about this episode. Would love to know where you guys think the storyline is headed for Diggle, how it's going to fall apart, how bad it's going to be, what the solution is going to be. And of course, just want to know what you guys thought about this episode and, the inconsistencies that may or may not have been there that, if I just happen to miss them. But we'd love to know what you guys thought, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.